The stars had always called to humanity. For thousands of years, people looked up at the night sky and wondered if they were alone. In the year 2157, they finally got their answer. Admiral stood on the bridge of the Earthship Unity. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had spent his whole life dreaming of this moment. Today, humanity would meet the Galactic Council for the first time. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission," said Lieutenant. She was young, barely 30 years old, but she was one of the best communication officers in the fleet. Nodded, put it on screen. The screen flickered and then an alien face appeared. It had blue skin and large black eyes. Its mouth was small, and when it spoke, the translator made its words sound flat and cold. "Human vessel, you have entered Council space. State your purpose." Smiled warmly. He had practiced this speech many times. "I am Admiral of Earth. We come in peace. We wish to join the Galactic Council as friends and partners. We bring gifts of art, music, and knowledge. We hope to learn from you and share what we have learned." The alien stared at him for a long moment. Then it spoke to someone off-screen in a language the translator could not catch. When it turned back, its expression had not changed. "You will follow our ships to the Council station. Do not deviate from the path." The transmission ended. Looked at with worry in her eyes. "That did not seem very friendly, sir." Kept his smile, but inside he felt the same worry. First contact is always difficult. We must be patient. The Unity followed the alien ships for 3 days. During this time, studied everything he could about the Council. They had been watching Earth for decades. They knew about human history, about the wars and the peace, about the art and the science. Hoped they would see the good in humanity. When they arrived at the Council station, was amazed. It was bigger than any city on Earth. Thousands of ships flew around it like bees around a hive. Species of all shapes and sizes lived and worked there. And his team were taken to a great hall. 12 aliens sat on high chairs looking down at them. Each one was from a different species. This was the Galactic Council, the rulers of 1,000 worlds. The one in the center spoke. It was tall and thin, with skin like silver metal. "Humans, we have watched your kind for many years. You are young. You are violent. You fight wars over small things. You kill your own kind for power and land." Stepped forward. "That is true. We have made mistakes, but we have also grown. We have learned from our past. We built this ship not to conquer, but to explore. We want to be part of something greater than ourselves." The council members looked at each other. Some whispered in their own languages. The silver one raised a hand for silence. "We have discussed this matter for many cycles. Your species shows promise but also great danger. Your aggression is in your blood. It cannot be removed." Felt his heart grow cold. "What are you saying?" "We are saying that humanity is too dangerous to exist among us. For the safety of the galaxy, Earth must be controlled." Before could respond, alarms screamed across the station. On every screen he saw Council warships moving toward Earth. There were hundreds of them, maybe thousands. "No," shouted, "we came in peace. This is murder." The silver alien looked at him with empty eyes. "It is protection. Your kind would thank us if you could understand." Tried to run, but guards grabbed him. His crew was captured. They were thrown into cells while the fleet flew toward Earth. The attack came without warning. The people of Earth had no idea what was coming. They were celebrating the news of first contact. They thought the future would be bright. The first bombs fell on Seoul, his home city. His family lived there. His mother, his sister, his young niece who loved to look at the stars. The Council ships did not stop at Seoul. They hit Tokyo, Beijing, New York, London, Moscow. They destroyed military bases and space stations. They burned fields and poisoned water. In 3 days, 2 billion people died. But they made a mistake. The Council thought they knew everything about humanity. They had watched Earth for decades, but they did not understand one thing. They did not understand that humans never give up. Deep under the mountains of Korea, Commander watched the destruction on her screens. She was in a secret base that the Council did not know about. Around her, 10,000 soldiers waited for orders. Was not a tall woman. She was not loud or dramatic. She had short black hair and calm eyes, but inside her chest a fire was burning. "Commander," said Captain. He was her second in command, a man built like a mountain. "We have lost contact with Admiral. The enemy is destroying everything." Nodded slowly. "How many survived?" "We do not know yet. Maybe 500 million, maybe less." 500 million, out of 10 billion. The Council had killed almost everyone had ever known. "What are your orders, Commander?" asked. Stood up. She looked at the burning cities on the screen. She looked at the alien ships flying over the ruins of Seoul. She thought about her parents who lived near the river. She thought about her old teacher who had told her that the stars were full of friends waiting to meet them. "Close all communications," she said. "Activate Protocol 0. His eyes went wide. "Protocol 0, but that means—" "I know what it means." Turned to face her soldiers. "From this moment Earth is silent. No signals, no messages, no contact with the outside. We will disappear from the galaxy." "For how long?" someone asked. His voice was cold and hard like steel in winter. "Until we are ready." The soldiers did not ask what she meant by ready. They already knew. They had seen the death. They had felt the fire. And they understood that the Council had made a terrible mistake. They thought they were killing humanity, but they were only waking it up. In the great hall of the Council station, the Silver Leader smiled. The screens showed Earth in flames. "It is done. The human threat has been neutralized." But far below the mountains, in the darkness of the secret base, Commander began to plan. She had time. She had resources. And she had something the Council would never understand. She had human anger, human memory, human patience. The galaxy would forget about Earth. They would think the humans were gone, just another dead species in the long history of the cosmos. They would be wrong. 50 years passed like a whisper in the void. The Galactic Council celebrated their victory for a long time. They gave medals to the admirals who led the attack. They built monuments to honor the protection of galactic peace. They told stories about the dangerous humans who almost destroyed the order of the cosmos. But as years became decades, the galaxy forgot about Earth. There were other problems to solve, other species to watch, other threats to fear. The small blue planet at the edge of the galaxy became nothing more than a footnote in history books. Commander was no longer a commander. She was now called the Director. She led the Shadow Council, a group of the strongest humans who survived the attack. They lived deep underground, in bases that stretched across continents like the roots of a great tree. Was 67 years old now. Her hair was white and her face had many lines, but her eyes were the same, calm, patient, and full of cold fire. "Director," said General, walking into her office. He was 40 years old, born in the underground cities after the attack. He had never seen the sun, never felt rain on his face. He knew Earth only as a wounded mother waiting to be healed. "Report," said without looking up from her screens. "The new fleet is ready, 12,000 ships, all hidden in the asteroid belt." Nodded. "And the weapons?" "The plasma cannons are complete. The shield technology is better than anything the Council has. Our scientists say we are now 50 years ahead of them." This made smile just a little. 50 years. The same amount of time since the attack. The Council had given humanity a wound, and humanity had used that wound to grow stronger. "What about the intelligence teams?" she asked. Sat down across from her. "Our spies are in place on 40 Council worlds. They have been living there for decades, pretending to be other species. The Council has no idea." This was the great secret of humanity's survival. While the Council thought Earth was dead, humans had been working in the shadows. They stole technology. They learned alien languages. They studied every weakness the Council had. And they built. In the deep caves of what used to be Australia, factories worked day and night. Robots made by human hands created ships, weapons, and armor. Every piece was better than the last. Every design solved problems the Council had never even imagined. Stood up and walked to a large window. Below her she could see an underground city. 500,000 people lived there, all born after the attack. They had never known the old Earth, the Earth of blue skies and green forests. They knew only metal walls and artificial light. But they were strong, they were educated, and they all shared one dream. Said softly, "Do you know why we waited so long?" The general thought about it, to build our forces, to prepare. That is part of it, turned to face him. But there is another reason. I wanted the galaxy to forget us. I wanted them to feel safe. I wanted them to believe in their hearts that humanity was gone forever. Why? His eyes grew dark. Because when we return, I want them to feel what we felt. I want them to know what it is like when death comes without warning, when everything you love burns while you watch. Felt a chill run down his spine. He had heard stories about the director, about how she lost her entire family in the attack. He knew she never forgot. He knew she never forgave. "Are we ready then?" he asked. Almost. Walked to her desk and pressed a button. A hologram appeared, a map of the galaxy with thousands of points of light. "Our first target is the Vega system. It is a small council outpost. They have 100 ships there. We will attack it quietly. No survivors, no messages. The council will not know what happened. And after that, we move to the next target, and the next, and the next. We will eat the council from the edges like fire eating paper. By the time they understand what is happening, it will be too late." Nodded slowly. "When do we begin?" Looked at a photo on her desk. It showed a young woman with her family standing in front of a river in Seoul. The woman was 50 years ago. The family was gone now, dust in the wind. 3 months, she said. "Train the crews, check every ship twice. This must be perfect." Stood and saluted. "It will be done, Director." After he left, sat alone in her office. She thought about the long years of silence, the endless waiting, the children born in darkness who never knew the sun, the old people who died underground, never seeing the sky again. She thought about Admiral who died in a council prison after the attack. She thought about his dream of peace and friendship with the stars. He had been a good man, a kind man. But kindness did not save him. Kindness did not save Earth. Had learned a different lesson. She learned that the galaxy respected only one thing, power, and humanity would show them power unlike anything they had ever seen. In the years of silence had done more than build ships. She had built a new kind of human. The children of the underground were different from the old Earth people. They did not dream of peace. They dreamed of justice. They did not hope for friendship. They trained for war. Every child learned to fight before they learned to read. Every teenager studied alien weaknesses like others studied math. Every adult worked in the factories or the military, preparing for the day when they would rise from the ashes. And now that day was coming. Pressed another button on her desk. A screen showed a live feed from the surface of Earth. The planet was different now. The cities were still ruins, but nature had started to return. Green plants grew over the broken buildings. Animals walked through streets that once held millions of people. But the most important change was in the sky. A massive structure hung in orbit, a space station bigger than anything the Council had. It was invisible to their sensors, hidden by technology they could not understand. This was the Revenge, the largest warship ever built by human hands. It was not just a ship, it was a message, a promise, a curse. Looked at the Revenge and felt something she had not felt in many years. Not happiness, she had forgotten what that was, but satisfaction. the knowledge that the long wait was almost over. "Director," a voice said through the speaker. It was Captain, the youngest member of the Shadow Council. She was only 30, but she was brilliant. "The crews are reporting high spirits. Everyone is ready." "Good," said. "Tell them to rest while they can. Soon they will have no time for sleep." "Yes, Director." The speaker went silent, looked one more time at the old photo on her desk. She touched the faces of her family gently, like they might feel it somehow. "Soon," she whispered, "I will make them pay for what they did. Every death will be answered. Every tear will be returned." Outside her window, the underground city hummed with activity. 500,000 humans preparing for war. 12,000 ships waiting in the darkness. A planet full of anger, ready to explode. The silence was almost over. And when humanity spoke again, the whole galaxy would hear. The Vega outpost was quiet on the night of the attack. Commander, a tall alien with green scales, was finishing his dinner when the alarm started screaming. "What is happening?" he shouted, running to the control room. His officers were staring at their screens with wide eyes. One of them, a young female with blue feathers, turned to him with a shaking voice. "Sir, ships have appeared, many ships. They came from nowhere." Pushed her aside and looked at the screen. His blood went cold. Hundreds of ships filled the space around the outpost. They were black like pieces of the void itself. No lights, no signals, no markings. They had appeared without warning, without any sign on the sensors. "Contact the Council," ordered. "Send a distress signal now." "I cannot, sir. All communications are blocked. Something is jamming everything." Before could respond, the first shots hit the station. The walls shook, lights flickered, then the power went out. In the darkness, heard something that made his heart stop. A voice speaking through the emergency speakers. It was calm, cold, and somehow familiar. "This is General of Earth. Your crimes against humanity have not been forgotten. Your judgment has come." Earth's mind could not process the word. Earth was dead. Everyone knew that. The humans had been destroyed 50 years ago. There was no Earth. There were no humans. The station shook again. Then again. Outside the windows watched his fleet burn. The human ships moved like ghosts, fast and silent. They fired weapons that went through shields like they were not there. In minutes, every council ship was gone. Fell to his knees. Around him, his crew was screaming, crying, praying to gods that did not answer. And through it all, the cold voice kept speaking. "You thought we were dead. You thought you killed us. You were wrong." The station exploded. No survivors, no messages, just silence. 3 weeks later, the system fell. Then the Andros colonies. Then the Kelvin station. Every attack was the same. Human ships appeared from nowhere. All communications were blocked. And when it was over, nothing was left. The Galactic Council finally understood that something was very wrong. "How is this possible?" the Silver Leader shouted at his generals. "We destroyed them. I saw the reports myself. Earth was burned to ash." General, a large alien with 4 arms, stepped forward. His voice was low and troubled. "It seems we missed something. The humans survived underground. They have been building for 50 years, and now they are attacking." 50 years, the leader's voice broke. "They planned this for 50 years. Yes, their technology is far beyond ours now. Our weapons cannot hurt their ships. Our shields cannot stop their attacks. In 3 weeks they have taken 12 systems." The council chamber was silent. On the screens they watched recordings of the attacks. Human ships moving like shadows. Human weapons cutting through metal like water. Human soldiers, covered in black armor, fighting with a speed and strength that no alien could match. And in every recording they heard the same message: "Your judgment has come." Far away on the human flagship Revenge, General watched the same recordings with satisfaction. Around him, his officers were celebrating. They had not lost a single ship. "General," Captain said, walking to his side, The director wants to speak with you. Nodded and walked to a private room. The screen flickered and director's face appeared. She was very old now, her face thin and pale, but her eyes were still bright. "Good work," she said. "The plan is going perfectly." "Thank you, director. The council is panicking. They are pulling ships from everywhere to protect their core worlds. They have no idea where we will strike next." Smiled, a rare thing. "That is good. Keep them scared, keep them guessing. But do not attack the core worlds yet. Let them build their defenses, let them feel hope, then take it away." Understood. This was not just about winning. This was about making the council feel what humanity felt: the fear, the helplessness, the knowledge that death was coming and nothing could stop it. Director said, "There is one more thing. We captured some prisoners from the attack. They are asking to speak with you." His eyes narrowed. "Prisoners? I gave no order to take prisoners." "They surrendered before we destroyed the station. Captain thought you might want information from them." For a long moment said nothing. Then she nodded slowly. "Very well, I will speak to them, send them to Earth." The prisoners arrived on Earth 3 days later. There were 5 of them, all high-ranking officers from the Council fleet. They were brought to a room deep underground and made to wait. When the door finally opened, they expected a monster, a demon from the depths of space, full of hate and rage. Instead, they saw a small old woman with white hair and calm eyes. She sat down across from them and folded her hands. "I am director," she said simply. "You wanted to speak." The prisoners looked at each other. One of them, a female with silver skin, spoke first. We want to understand. Why are you doing this?" Tilted her head. "You do not know. The attack on Earth was before my time. I was born after. Many of us were. We had nothing to do with what happened." Was quiet for a moment. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out an old photograph. She placed it on the table. "This is my family," she said. "My mother, my father, my sister, my niece who was 3 years old. They lived in Seoul by the river. They died in the first hour of the attack." The prisoners stared at the photo. The young woman in the picture was smiling, surrounded by people who loved her. It was a beautiful image of a life that no longer existed. "Your council killed 10 billion people," continued. "Not because we attacked you, not because we threatened you. You killed us because you were afraid of what we might become." "That was a mistake," the silver alien said quickly. "Everyone knows that now. The attack was wrong. If you would just talk to the council, maybe we could." "Talk?" His voice did not rise, but something in it made the alien stop breathing. "We came to you with open hands. We offered friendship. We offered peace. And you answered with fire." She stood up slowly. "You had 50 years to apologize, 50 years to help the survivors, 50 years to show that you regretted what you did, but you did nothing. You celebrated. You forgot. You built monuments to your glory." The prisoners had no words. They saw in his eyes something ancient and terrible, a wound that had never healed, a pain that had only grown stronger with time. "This is not about war," said. "This is not about power or territory. This is about justice, and justice will be done." She turned and walked to the door. Before she left, she looked back one more time. "Tell your council that humanity remembers. We remember everything." The door closed. The prisoners sat in silence, understanding at last what they faced. This was not an enemy that could be defeated. This was not a war that could be won. This was revenge, pure and complete, and nothing in the galaxy could stop it. The Galactic Council was dying, and everyone knew it. In 6 months, humanity had taken 30 systems. The Council's greatest fleets had been destroyed. Their most powerful weapons had failed. Nothing could stop the black ships that appeared from the darkness like ghosts of the dead. The Silver Leader sat alone in his chambers. He had not slept in days. Around him, the great hall was empty. Many council members had fled to distant worlds, hoping to escape the human revenge. Others had killed themselves rather than face what was coming. A screen on his desk showed a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked the systems humanity had taken. Green dots marked what the Council still held. The red was spreading like blood on water. "Supreme Leader," a voice said. His assistant, a small creature with large eyes, stood at the door. "The ambassadors have returned from the outer worlds. They have news." "What news?" "The other species. They are not coming to help us. The Empire says this is not their war. The Federation has closed its borders. Everyone is waiting to see what happens." The leader closed his eyes. He understood. The other powers were afraid. They had seen what happened to the Council. They did not want to be next. "Is there no one?" he asked quietly. "No, Supreme Leader. We are alone." Alone, the word hung in the air like a curse. For 1,000 years, the Galactic Council had ruled this part of the galaxy. They had been the most powerful force anyone had ever seen. And now, they were alone. The leader made a decision. It was the hardest decision of his long life. "Contact the humans," he said. "Tell them we want to talk." The assistant's eyes went wide. "Talk, but Supreme Leader, they have refused all communication. They do not answer our messages." "Then we will go to them. Send an embassy ship to Earth. Tell them we come in peace. Tell them we are willing to discuss terms." "What terms?" The leader looked at the red dots spreading across his map. "Any terms they want." 2 weeks later, an embassy ship left Council space. It carried the highest members of the Council's government, ambassadors, ministers, and military leaders. All of them were old. All of them had been alive during the attack on Earth. They knew what they had done. The ship traveled for 3 days before it reached human space. Immediately, human warships surrounded it. They were black and silent, like pieces of night that had come alive. "Council vessel," a voice said through the radio. "You will follow our ships to Earth. Any wrong move will result in your destruction." The ambassador, an old female named, answered with a shaking voice. "We understand. We come only to talk. We mean no harm." There was a pause. Then the voice spoke again. "Humanity will decide what you mean." The trip to Earth took 2 more days. During this time, looked out the window at the human ships. They were beautiful in a terrible way. Smooth and dark, with lines that seemed to flow like water. Nothing like the Council's sharp, angular designs. "How did they do it?" she whispered to herself. "How did they become so strong in only 50 years? She knew the answer, even if she did not want to admit it. They had done it through hate, through pain, through memories that never faded. The Council had given humanity the greatest motivation in the universe, the desire for revenge. When they finally reached Earth, his breath caught in her throat. The planet was beautiful, blue oceans, green lands, white clouds. It looked peaceful, like nothing had ever happened there. But in orbit, she saw the truth. Thousands of ships floated around the planet. Stations and factories hung in space like metal moons. And at the center of it all, a massive ship that made everything else look small. "That is the Revenge," their human escort said. "The director's flagship. You will meet her there." The embassy ship docked with the Revenge, and her team were led through long hallways filled with human soldiers. Every soldier stood still and silent, watching them with eyes that held no emotion. Finally, they reached a great room. It was simple, with no decorations or furniture except for a long table and chairs. At the far end, a woman sat waiting. Had seen images of director, but nothing had prepared her for seeing the woman in person. She was old, very old, with white hair and skin like paper, but her eyes were young and sharp, filled with something that made want to run. Beside the director stood a younger woman in military uniform. This was Captain, the one they called the Sword of Humanity. She was tall and strong, with short black hair and a face that showed nothing. "Sit," director said. Her voice was soft but carried easily in the quiet room. And her team sat down. Their hands were shaking. Some of them could not look at the old woman across the table. "You wanted to talk," said, "so talk." Took a deep breath. "Director, I am ambassador of the Galactic Council. I have come to discuss peace between our peoples." Said nothing. She just watched with those terrible eyes. "We know that what happened 50 years ago was wrong," continued. "The attack on Earth was a crime. There is no excuse for it. We have come to say we are sorry, truly sorry." "Sorry," repeated. The word seemed to amuse her somehow. "Yes, and more than that, we are willing to offer reparations. Territory, resources, technology, whatever humanity wants, we will give. We want to make things right." Pulled a document from her bag and placed it on the table. "This is a formal treaty. It gives humanity control of 50 systems, our best systems, with rich planets and valuable resources. It gives you a permanent seat on the council. It recognizes Earth as an equal power in the galaxy. All we ask is that the attacks stop." For a long moment did not move. She did not look at the document. She just sat there, staring at with those ancient, burning eyes. Then she spoke. "When your ships bombed Seoul, my niece was playing in the garden. She was 3 years old. She liked to pick flowers." Felt her heart stop. "When the fire came, my sister tried to protect her. They found their bodies 3 days later, burned together. My sister's arms were still around the child." "Director, when your soldiers landed on Earth, they did not give food to the survivors. They did not offer help. They built prisons. They separated families. They let children starve while they watched. That was not. When Admiral begged for mercy for his people, your council laughed. They recorded it. They played it at parties. They made jokes about the crying human." His mouth opened and closed. She had no words. Stood up slowly. She walked around the table until she was standing right in front of. This close, the ambassador could see every line on the old woman's face, every year of pain, every memory of loss. "You come here with your treaties and your apologies," said. "You offer us territory and resources. You think you can pay for what you did with planets and gold." She leaned close, her voice dropping to a whisper. "There is not enough gold in the universe to pay for my niece's life." Fell to her knees. Tears were running down her face. "Please, I know nothing can bring back what was lost, but the war will only bring more death, more pain. Is that what you want? More children dying, more families destroyed?" Looked down at her for a long time. Something passed through her eyes, a flicker of doubt, perhaps, or memory. Then it was gone. "Take them back to their ship," she said to Captain. "Let them return to the council." Grabbed his arm. "Wait, does this mean you will consider peace? Will you at least think about it?" Gently removed the ambassador's hand. Her face was calm, almost peaceful. "I have thought about nothing else for 50 years. The guards led the ambassadors away. Looked back one last time, hoping to see some sign of mercy. She saw only cold, patient hate. The ambassadors returned to the council with nothing. No peace, no hope, only the memory of an old woman's eyes filled with 50 years of frozen rage. Ambassador stood before the council leaders. Her voice was hollow, like someone already dead. "They will not stop. Nothing we offered was enough. Nothing ever will be." The silver leader pressed his hands against his face. What did she say? What exactly did she say? She talked about her family, about a child who died in the first attack. She said there is not enough gold in the universe to pay for that child's life. Paused. "I believe her." "There must be something we can do," another council member said. "Some way to stop this." Shook her head slowly. "You do not understand. This is not about politics or power. This is not about territory or resources. This is about pain. We created something terrible 50 years ago, and now it has come back for us." The chamber fell silent. On the screens around them, reports kept coming in. Another system lost. Another fleet destroyed. Another million dead. The red dots were spreading across the map like a disease with no cure. Far away, Director called a meeting on the Revenge. General, Captain, and the surviving members of the Shadow Council gathered in the Great Room. They knew what this meeting meant. Walked to the head of the table. She moved slowly now, her old body failing her. But her mind was still sharp, still burning with the fire that had kept her alive for 50 years. The ambassadors came with offers of peace, she said. They gave us treaties and apologies and promised us anything we wanted. And you refused, Captain said. It was not a question. I did, looked at each person in the room. Some of you may think I was wrong. Some of you may think we should have taken their offer. Peace, territory, a place in the galaxy. Was that not what we wanted? No one spoke. I will tell you what I want, continued. I want to walk by the river in Seoul with my niece. I want to hear my sisters laugh. I want to see my parents grow old and happy. I want Admiral to see the day when humanity truly joined the stars. Her voice cracked just slightly. I cannot have these things. No treaty will give them back to me. No apology will bring them back from the dead. She straightened her back, and her voice grew strong again. But I can give them justice. I can make sure their deaths were not forgotten. I can show the universe that humanity is not a species to be murdered and forgotten. Director, General said carefully, the council is broken. They cannot fight us anymore. If we continue, we will destroy them completely. Is that what you want? Smiled. It was a strange smile, tired and sad and somehow peaceful. I am an old woman. I have lived too long, fueled by hate and memory. I will not live much longer, but before I die, I want to finish what I started. She pressed a button, and a map appeared on the wall. It showed the council a beautiful planet called, where the 12 ruling species had built their capital city. This is our final target, said. When falls, the council dies. 1,000 years of alien rule ended by the species they tried to destroy. How many ships do we send? Captain asked. All of them turned to face her. Every ship we have. I want them to see what they created. I want them to understand what humanity has become. The fleet launched 3 days later. 100,000 ships, moving through space like a wave of darkness. It was the largest military force in the history of the galaxy. On the bridge of the Revenge, Captain stood beside Director. The old woman was sitting in a chair now, too weak to stand for long, but she refused to miss this moment. Director said softly, are you certain about this? Once we destroy, there is no going back. We will be the monsters they always said we were. Was quiet for a moment. Do you know why I chose you to be my captain? Because I was the best pilot in the academy. No, reached out and touched his hand. Because you still have hope. You still believe that humanity can be more than revenge. After I am gone, you will need to lead our people forward, away from hate, toward something better. His eyes widened. Director, I have done what needed to be done. The hard things, the cruel things. I have carried the weight of our anger so that others could live, but the anger must end someday. Do you understand? Nodded slowly. Yes, I think I do. Smiled. Good. Now let me finish my work. The fleet arrived at 2 weeks later. The council had gathered their remaining ships for a final defense, 30,000 vessels, all that was left of their once great navy. They never had a chance. The battle lasted 6 hours. Human ships moved through the council fleet like shadows through light. Weapons that the council could not understand cut through their shields. Soldiers that the council could not stop boarded their ships and took them apart from the inside. When it was over, the sky above was filled with fire. Director ordered the Revenge to descend into the atmosphere. The massive ship broke through the clouds and hung above the capital city like a dark god coming to judge the world. Below, millions of aliens looked up in terror. They saw the ship that had destroyed their empire. They saw the end of everything they knew. A screen appeared in the sky, showing his face to everyone on the planet. People of, she said, her voice was tired but clear. 50 years ago, your council attacked Earth. They killed 10 billion people. They burned our cities. They poisoned our water. They left our children to die in the ruins. The alien stood frozen, unable to move or speak. You did this because you were afraid of what we might become. You saw something in humanity that scared you, and instead of trying to understand it, you tried to destroy it. Leaned forward, and even through the screen, her eyes seemed to look into every soul on the planet. You should have been afraid, but not of what we might become. You should have been afraid of what you would make us. Behind the Revenge, 1,000 warships powered their weapons. The sky turned red with charging energy. Ambassador pushed through the crowd, screaming up at the screen, "Please, there are children here, innocents who had nothing to do with the war. Show mercy. Show that humans are better than us." For a long moment said nothing. She looked at the alien crowds below, the families, the children, the old ones who could barely stand. Something changed in her face, a softening, a moment of doubt. Then she turned to Captain. "Prepare the landing teams, take the city, remove the council leaders, arrest anyone who resists." Blinked, "Director, what about the bombardment?" "There will be no bombardment." Looked back at the screen at the aliens who waited for death. "I am not them. We are not them. Humanity does not kill children." She leaned back in her chair, suddenly looking very old and very tired. "The council is finished. Their power is broken. Their leaders will face trial for their crimes, but the innocent will live." Fell to her knees, crying with relief. Around her, millions of aliens wept and prayed, unable to believe what they had heard. On the bridge of the Revenge, Captain stood beside. "Director, the others will not understand. Many of our people wanted complete destruction." "I know," closed her eyes. "But revenge is a fire that must stop somewhere. If I burn everything, what is left? Just ashes and hate." She opened her eyes and looked at. "We have shown the galaxy what happens when humanity is pushed. We have taken our justice. Now we must show them what happens when we choose to stop, when we choose to be more than our worst memories." Reached into her pocket and pulled out the old photograph. Her family, smiling by the river. For the first time in 50 years, she did not feel pain when she looked at it. She felt only love. "I could not save them," she whispered, "but maybe I can save these." She looked at the aliens below. "Maybe that is enough." 2 months later, Director died in her sleep. She was buried on Earth, near the river in Seoul where her family had lived. The whole planet mourned. Captain became the new leader of humanity. She led their people away from war, toward building and healing. The council was reorganized, with humans holding the highest seats. New laws protected all species, weak and strong. The galaxy would never forget what humanity had done. The black ships, the silent revenge, the 50 years of cold rage. But they would also remember what humanity had become. A people who could have destroyed everything and chose not to. A people who proved that mercy was stronger than hate. And on a small grave by the river, where flowers grew every spring, a simple stone carried these words. She remembered, she fought, she forgave.